Hi guys, and welcome to this free training video all about how to train your puppy to be a perfect canine companion without pulling your hair out. If this is our first time meeting, I'm Will and I'm glad you found this video. I'm a canine behaviourist and I'm the founder here at Fenrir Canine Leaders. I have an advanced diploma in canine behaviour and training alongside a first class degree in education, since I truly believe my roles and responsibilities as a canine behaviourist and trainer is to educate as many people as possible on how they can become high level canine leaders that raise perfect canine companions themselves. Through my experience as a canine behaviourist, I've heard from so many people that have struggled to train their puppy. People who decided to get or were given a puppy and then realised that they had no idea what to do with it. Or people who have done some research and tried a bunch of different training guides and methodologies, but nothing seemed to stop their puppy from nipping at their ankles or having accidents all over the house. People come to me stressed, struggling with this new puppy, wondering if they've made a serious mistake. They're often embarrassed to take out their new puppy because they have no control, so they can't even enjoy their new companion out in the wider world. I've had people whose relationships were suffering because of it, or they were struggling financially after their sweet puppy destroyed so many of their hard-earned possessions. I knew I had to do something about it, so I began compiling my years of experience into one place. I considered the methodologies and techniques that I use to train my own puppies and those that I've worked with. I began to sort through the most common problems people face with their puppies and create solutions for every single one of those. I looked at everything needed with regards to socialization in order to have a calm, quiet dog no matter where you are. I created tutorials for the basic obedience drills that were easy to follow and repeatable by owners with any level of experience. I figured out exactly what makes a well-mannered dog, and I combined all of this into my perfect puppy course. I created something that anybody could follow and be happy and proud of their dogs afterwards, no longer being embarrassed to take them outside, but instead proud to show off how well behaved they are. No longer stressed out about the messes and accidents, but instead able to relax and enjoy life with their perfect canine companions that they've always dreamed of. Now today I want to go over the principles behind my perfect puppy training and explain the 3 pillars that go into a perfect canine companion, as well as what makes a calm, consistent canine leader, so that you will know exactly what you need to do. Now firstly, I just want to mention how important it is that you do train your puppy. An untrained dog is not only a source of stress and difficulty for you, but will also lead to a stressed and unhappy dog. It's exactly how so many dogs end up in shelters and sadly eventually euthanized, and it's my mission to stop this from happening. Every dog deserves and needs leadership and guidance on how we want them to act and behave, and it's up to us to become their calm, consistent leader that they can look to for reassurance and guidance. So, on the first pillar to success is incredible socialization. Canine socialization and development is a fascinating and complex topic, and one that is founded in the deep understanding of canine psychology and the developmental sciences. However, for our desired outcome of a calm, confident and obedient dog with excellent manners, we can simplify this down to exposing our puppies to as many different things as possible and creating as many positive associations to those different environments, objects, people and animals as possible. By doing this, as they grow older, they won't freak out, slip out of their collars and run off if a bus passes them, or when approached by someone in bright clothing. It would be impossible for me to list every single thing to introduce your dog to, and it's certainly a case of the more the better, but there are definitely some more common scenarios that are worth focusing on. Now again, I don't have time to list them here, but we have created a Fenrir socialization checklist containing the absolute musts for socialization, allowing you to keep track of your puppy's progress, and you can get it for free today alongside our Perfect Puppy course. It's also worth saying that if you have a specific lifestyle where you frequently encounter an object or environment that the rest of us wouldn't, then of course you should ensure to have a particular focus on creating a positive association to that thing with your puppy. As an example, if you're a paddleboarder whose dream is to take your dog out paddleboarding with you, then you absolutely need to socialise your dog to the board, the paddle, the wetsuit if you'll be wearing one. You may also want to spend more time socialising your dog with lakes or the sea, wherever you will regularly spend time paddleboarding. The more and the better that you socialise your dog, the more calm, confident and reliable that dog will be. Many of the behavioural problems that owners face with their dogs could have been solved and stopped from happening in the first place simply with proper socialisation. By following this proper socialisation, you will save a fortune and a massive headache in the future trying to unpick those problems caused. Now, the technique for socialisation generally works like this. We introduce our new puppy to the new object, environment, animal or person, and we positively reinforce and reward the desired way to react, which is usually a calm, confident and positive response that we're looking for from our dogs. Now, if you get a nervous, anxious or frightened response, then stay calm. Ignore those behaviours so as to not accidentally reinforce them. Instead, go back a step with that specific thing causing that negative response. For example, if your puppy freaks out on busy roads when buses pass by, then go back to socialising them on quieter road. Watch buses from a distance or whilst they're stationary. Create positive associations at this much easier to manage stage, then build back up to meeting those buses on busier roads slowly and surely. Socialisation is not rocket science, but it does require discipline, consistency and commitment. It is often laziness on the owner's part that causes a lack of socialisation in dogs. When the damage is done, it is very hard and sometimes impossible to undo, so the importance of getting it right cannot be understated. Now, of course, it can still be tricky to know exactly what to do and when to do it, and to make sure you're hitting the key areas of development at the right times. It can be a real worry since you only get specific windows in the puppy's developmental cycles to get this right. That's why in our Perfect Puppy course, we identify the key areas of socialisation to nail at each stage of your puppy's development, so you don't have to worry if you're getting it right, and you know you're setting your puppy up for success. Now, on to the second pillar, impeccable manners. For me, good manners in our dogs is just as important as raising our children to have good manners. There is nothing worse than a loud, obnoxious dog. A dog that barks all the time or forces its way past you, jumps up at you or won't wait patiently for its dinner, practically knocking you over to get its head in the food bowl before you even have time to put it on the floor. Having good obedience and a list of tricks doesn't do anything to make a more pleasant dog to have around living with you day to day. Manners is of the utmost importance. We want to train our dog with good manners so that they can be extremely polite when meeting strangers and greet them in a calm, relaxed, well-mannered way. They don't jump in, and they will sit and wait patiently and quietly to be given directions from yourself as an equally calm and consistent leader. A well-mannered dog will always respect boundaries that you as the leader put in place within their lives. They will go to the toilet at an appropriate time and in the right place. They'll be happy to be left on their own and won't destroy your house while you're away. As an overarching principle when it comes to manners, you must establish clear and consistent boundaries from day one with your puppy. Reward and praise good manners. Challenge bad ones. Now, challenging bad manners or bad behaviours does not mean beating your dog or using harsh punishment. It can be as simple as ignoring the behaviour and removing all your attention and praise away from the dog. It could be simply a verbal correction in the form of a firm ah to really break their focus and bring it back to you so that you can then redirect your dog to the positive desired behaviours. As a bonus for you, alongside our Perfect Puppy course, we've included video guides on how to avoid or solve the 3 most common puppy problems related to bad manners in biting, crying, and then chewing or destroying things. It's fairly easy to be consistent with boundaries and reward your dog for following those boundaries. It's also quite easy to challenge them for breaking the rules and bringing them back within the boundaries to then reward and praise them again. The challenge is avoiding accidentally reinforcing bad manners, and this is why you have to have at least a basic understanding of rewarding the desired outcome and challenging the negative one. For example, if you come home from work and every time you do so, you get really excited and cause loads of fuss when you see your dog and you drop to the floor with that high-pitched voice and give them loads of praise, don't be surprised if your dog gets separation anxiety when you leave and becomes a nightmare when they greet new people. But if you come home in a calm, consistent way and completely ignore your dog, as hard as that can be, until they are calm, then praise and reward that behaviour. You will have then a dog that is calm and greets people like a dream, as they will learn that being calm gets them what they want. Likewise, if every time your dog barks, you stroke them and give them fuss, don't be surprised if you have a really annoying dog that barks all the time. What you will have done is accidentally reinforce bad manners and bad behaviours. Instead, ignore your dog if it barks, then when it's settled and relaxed, praise, reward and give it your attention then. You will then have a dog that actively seeks to be calm, quiet and relaxed, since they know that that's how they earn praise, attention and reward. There's so many of those small scenarios and examples that can cause bad manners, and we can't possibly discuss them all. It would be impossible. But it's so important that we get things right in the first place. Then you don't need to use punitive tools or spend a fortune on a trainer or behaviourist to come and fix very complex, established negative behaviours. To simplify things for you, our Perfect Puppy course gives you the specific manners to work on week by week to ensure that you end up with your dream well-mannered dog. We focused on the most common scenarios where bad manners can occur and introduced some drills to work on the overarching principles of good manners. Now finally, one of the best ways to ensure a well-mannered dog is to have a tired dog. Exercise is an absolute must for a calm, quiet, relaxed dog. Exercise your dog regularly and you'll find that there are far more instances of them being calm and settled, and therefore far more instances where you can praise and reward the desired behaviour, allowing you to have a perfectly well-mannered canine companion. Our third and final pillar is of course obedience. This is usually what we think about when we think of training our puppy. Whilst it's not the only factor to a perfect puppy, it is definitely an essential one. An obedient dog is one that is under control in all scenarios. This not only makes them a pleasure to be with, but also means that they and the people around them are safe. Obedience is an extremely wide area and varies from easy things like teaching a dog to sit, all the way to teaching them to go into the kitchen and fetch you a drink from the fridge. The only limits with obedience training truly are your own imagination. Having said that, we here at Fenrir have our 5 non-negotiable areas of obedience that we focus on. These are the things that we believe that every single dog should have perfected, and the combination of these 5 things is what leads to a perfect canine companion. These 5 areas underpin everything, and if you master these, then you can take obedience training as far as you want to take it. First, and the foundation to all obedience training, is to teach your dog its name. This is something that a lot of people presume isn't actually a command or obedience training, but that couldn't be further from the truth. In the dog world, names are not a given. They communicate much more through body language and scent and have no concepts of names. When we utilise a dog's name, what we are actually doing is associating that word that we view as the dog's name with the command to look at us for direction, because we are about to give further guidance or instruction. This is of course different when using a dog's name in general conversation with other humans, but when it comes to communicating with our dog, their name is always followed by some kind of command. A good example of this is sit, where I will almost always use Sully, sit. Here, I've told my dog that I want his attention by using his name. Then when I've got it, I've given him the further command, which is to sit. With that in place, the 5 non-negotiable areas of obedience moving forward are: number 1, teaching your dog to sit. This is something that can be achieved very quickly, especially with a young puppy, and is often our first taste of success when training our dog. Usually from the very first day we bring them home. It's often our first experience of the rewarding feeling that comes with being able to communicate something with our dog. On top of that, however, sit is also an incredibly important tool that we utilise for a variety of different obedience, socialisation and manners-based purposes. From an obedience perspective, it's something that we can do as part of an obedience drill to help further develop the relationship and communication between you and your dog, or using it in a day-to-day scenario where it will probably be the most commanded tool or command that you will use with your dog. We will use it as part of our socialisation, where we are taking our dog out to experience different stimuli. Having them in a sit will allow us to observe their reaction and know where they are mentally. Where it really comes in handy though is for manners. I will use a sit in all household boundaries and for manners purposes. Before feeding, I will have my dog sit and stay patiently before I allow them their dinner. If you want them to come up on your bed or sofa, you want them to sit politely before being invited across that boundary. Since you're the leader and it's your bed or sofa, the access should not be automatic. It should be an absolute prerequisite on this calm, patient sit before them being invited up onto the comfortable space of the sofa or the bed. Now, number 2, teaching your dog to stay. This is a natural follow-on from teaching your dog to sit. It does start to layer up a level of complexity, but is again utilised in a wide variety of scenarios. From an obedience level of building up the relationship and communication with your dog, but also being incredibly important for our dog's safety. We need to have this tool in our arsenal for scenarios such as dog chasing something and heading towards a road. We can start with the foundation, calling their name to have them stop and pay attention to us, followed by stay to show them that we want them to wait exactly where they are. They won't really understand why we want them to, but since we have established ourselves as their calm, consistent leader, they will obey and they will know that it's for their own good. One of the key drills in our Perfect Puppy course is having our dogs sit and stay at meal times. Having them practice their impulse control in this way, whilst really wanting the food but understanding it must come through us, is an excellent way to establish our leadership whilst improving our dog's obedience and manners. Now, number 3 is a combination of leave it and break. Leave it is a fairly easy concept and resolves around our ability to keep our dogs safe. Dogs explore things with their mouths, but live in our society where not everything they find is suitable for them. Puppies in particular are an extreme exploration phase of their lives, so it's very common for them to pick things up and explore them in their mouth, including things that they definitely should not be picking up or chewing on. This can range from cables and other household items to other dogs' poop or even dangerous cleaning products. We need to be able to get our dogs to drop whatever it is that is in their mouth, using leave it, drop, or a similar command. Now, break tacks on really nicely here and is our ability to let our dog know clearly and consistently when a command is over after we have asked them to do something. Now, for example, following a sit and stay command, our dogs need a consistent method of knowing when it can stop with the stay and resume its normal activities. We need to separate this finishing of the command from the words we use to praise our dog, such as good boy or good girl, as otherwise we create confusion for the dog whilst trying to praise them during a desired behaviour. We don't want to have to wait until a behaviour is finished to praise our dogs for fear of praising them stopping it. For example, if we put our dog in a sit and then a stay, we want to be able to tell them whilst they're in that stay, good boy, without it meaning that they come out of that stay, letting them know that what you're doing is perfect. We can then use the break command to let them know you can now come away from that stay because I, as your calm, consistent leader, am allowing you to do so. Now, number 4 is recall. Being fairly self-explanatory, it's our ability to have our dog return to us no matter what's going on around it. It's fairly simple in principle and process, but this is one of the hardest things to teach your dog correctly and is one of the most sought after traits that many owners envy when witnessing other dogs with perfect recall. It's fantastic for safety, calling them away from a dangerous situation, and it also allows us to allow our dogs more freedom and give them the opportunity to exercise more and burn off more energy. It's one of the clearest indications of your high-level canine leadership and a command to be proud of when you've mastered it. However, it is a very difficult command to get right if you don't understand the theory and the principles behind it. It's also very difficult to undo mistakes if you start incorrectly. That's why it features so heavily in our Perfect Puppy course to ensure that you get it right from the very beginning and avoid the painstaking process of trying to correct your mistakes. It's so important that it has a 100% success rate and that you make it a most positive, fantastic, life-changing experience for your dog to come back to you when asked. This way we can avoid any disasters through them ignoring a crucial recall command in a worst case scenario. Now, number 5 is having a dog that will walk nicely to heel. Heel walking is another element that can transform the experience of living with a dog from something that is frustrating and walks being a chore with constant pulling, a sore arm and a lack of control through to something that is the highlight and the joy of your day. With a perfect heel walk in place, I absolutely love taking my dogs for a walk. I wouldn't be able to if they were constantly pulling my arm out of the socket. This is especially true for the big, powerful breeds, where it can become almost impossible to walk them without nailing the heel walk. This naturally leads them to being walked less, and then they're exercising less, and then displaying more unwanted behaviours that could have been reduced if they were properly exercised. This is a vicious cycle where they miss out on socialisation, they then become reactive and having pent-up energy where behaviours can be dramatically exasperated. This is something that I take great pride in teaching everybody that purchases my Perfect Puppy course, where I explain step by step how to achieve the perfect heel walk. So with the 5 non-negotiables outlined, you might be wondering how we actually teach these commands. I use a combination of luring and positive reinforcement through treats and praise to mark good behaviours. In my Perfect Puppy course, I demonstrate exactly how to teach each command and take you through the process of levelling up each command, eventually removing treats and simply rewarding with praise. So now you understand exactly what is needed to train your Perfect Puppy. I hope you found the information helpful and that it's shown you the combination of socialisation, manners, obedience and most of all leadership required to train your perfect canine companion. If you're feeling lost and unsure exactly how to implement all the things I've just taught you, then don't panic. As I've mentioned, I've laid it all out for you in my Perfect Puppy course. It takes you through step by step, day by day, week by week and month by month for the entire first year of your puppy's life. It breaks down exactly what you need to do to achieve excellent socialisation, impeccable manners and perfect obedience, whilst also teaching you to become a high-level canine leader yourself. It includes video tutorials for all of the obedience and manners drills that I've just discussed, and if you sign up today, I've also included as a bonus our Fenris socialisation checklist, allowing you to check your progress against every one of the most common socialisation items, and also video guides on the 3 most common puppy problems of biting, crying and chewing or destroying things. To thank you for watching this video, we've even included a 10% discount if you purchase today using the button below. If you're interested, I do highly recommend purchasing today, as I can't guarantee how long this video and the offer below will be available for. Thank you so much for sticking with me and taking the first steps for you becoming a high-level canine leader. And remember to click the button below today for 10% off our Perfect Puppy course.